Welcome back to the Barry Charles Footy Show. Yes, indeed, we're back again for another great footy segment. And this one is going to be big debate, but who is the best 17 Kiwis of all time? Now, before I start, I thought I'd better give you a bit of a rundown of people that were unlucky to make the list. And there's people from way back in the day that I think deserve to mention, but because I have no clue how they were. But they played quite a few tests, especially some of those real early on ones from the 1900s to the 40s. There's a few that played quite a few tests when they only played a couple of tests a year. So to play over 10 tests, you were really good back then. So some honourable mentions here. We've got Craddock. Yes, Craddock, he played 13 tests. We had Brett Avery, he played 16 tests. Hex Brisbane played 13 tests. And then a bit later on, and this is like 70s, I believe. Here we got Jack Butterworth, 36 tests, probably deserves to have a mention. And probably unlucky not to make the reserve team, because at the end of the day, I ended up picking a reserve team too for you guys out there. Roger Bailey played 30 tests. Tony Cole played 30 tests, and there was a few others, but they were very unlucky. But obviously from current players or ones that have been around the last 30, 40 years, Robbie Paul was unlucky not to make the team. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. This is the reserves and the top team. Clayton Frean, Sean Kenny Dow, Joe Wagner, Jared McCracken, Stephen Kearney, Greg Eastwood, Frank Pritchard, Tawera Nikau. So many good players on this list. They missed out on selection in these two teams. So let's first of all look at the reserve team. The reserve Kiwi team didn't quite make the best 17. There's a few contentious decisions on a couple of positions because, to be honest, we've never had a star in a couple of these positions, and some players didn't play enough tests for Kiwis, so it was a bit of a they might be the best players to play for the Kiwis, but they only played 10 to 20 tests, and to me it wasn't enough to really get you into the squad. So fullback, well, the debate was whether Roger Tuivasa-Sheck should have been here. I think he would have been if he played more tests, but because he went to rugby, but he could eventually get back into this list if he comes back. But I've gone for Brett Webb. He was a solid player for the Warriors and for the Kiwis. Very underrated player. He gets my fullback spot. Dane O'Hara and Richie Barnett. Dane O'Hara probably lucky enough to make the top team, but these are my wingers. Centre pairing, Clinton Torpy and Dean Bell. Yes, Dean Bell, unlucky not to make the top team as well, but when you look at who's in their top team, well, you can understand why they missed out. The halves, well, Sean Johnson, I had to put him in there. He's played a lot of tests for the Kiwis, but just not quite delivered. And Gary Freeman, who played the most tests, well, quite a lot of tests. I was surprised how many tests he played, so he goes in at number 7. The forward pack, Brent Todd and Jared Warrior-Hargreaves, or what a forward pack that would be, with Thomas Lulua. He's probably another one that could have been unlucky not to make the top team as well, Thomas Lulua, but I just had a few other players in front of him. Ali Lauatiti, he would have been in my top team, but he didn't really play enough tests for the Kiwis and probably didn't play his best at the Kiwis, to be honest. Logan Swan had to be in there, very consistent player for the Kiwis, so is Richie Blackmore. I had to put him in the squad somewhere, so here he is. The bench, Lance O'Hire, he very Mr. Consistent. Probably unlucky not to make the top team as well, but you can't pick them all. John Lomax, very good player, and no doubt about that. Ben Matalino, and obviously Sonny Bill Williams, which arguably you would say he should be in the top team, but to be honest, he didn't do enough in the Kiwi jumper to deserve to be in the top team. He really didn't. So we go back to now the team that we'll be waiting for. Who is the best Kiwis team of all time? Yes, the best Kiwis team of all time. Fullback, Matthew Ridge. He was a slick ball playing, kicking. He was very, very good for the Manly Seagulls. To be honest, this is probably one of the worst positions in the team. If Matthew Ridge is the best fullback for the Kiwis, how good, how bad were the Kiwi fullbacks, to be honest? A good player though, Matthew Ridge, but I mean, he's not. He wouldn't say he's a Billy Slater or anything like that. But Matthew Ridge gets it. But that was debatable who would be fullback. But just from my memory, Matthew Ridge is the best. And there's no doubting who these two are for me. Absolute standout wingers, absolutely. Fan favourite to the Warriors, both of them, even though he wasn't there long. But Sean Hoppy and Manu Vatuvei, no doubt about it. They were star players for the Kiwis. Absolutely guns in their position. And there's no doubt about it, the wing position is something the Kiwis can look at and go, yes, we could probably have the best ever. Not quite, but very, very good team. It'd be hard to swap them around for someone else. But there are obviously some good players. But they're very good. The centre pairing, I would have had Steve Maddai in there, but to be honest, unfortunately, he was too injury prone, so he didn't get to play enough tests. So he doesn't make the list, but he was very much in my eyes of making it. But if you go on who actually played a lot of tests, Kevin Ira and Nigel Wagner, pretty much stock standard, deserving their places in the centres. The halves, well, this is debatable, but not really, because some people would say Gary Freeman played very well in the Kiwis jumper, but to be honest, Benji Marshall and Stacey Jones probably the best two players to ever lace a boot for the Kiwis. Yes, very good players, very good, and they wouldn't be out of the conversation of great players of all time. The forward pack, well, Mr. Rumen Wiki, and for me, Howie Tamati was very much a big player back in the day in the 80s. He was just absolutely, nobody wanted to mess with him. He was, very much, if you get to see some highlights of him, well, yes, we know what happened with the old punch-up. Isaac Luke. Yes, Isaac Luke gets my number 9 jumper, and this is another one that the Kiwis went that strong with. We've obviously got other ones like Thomas Uluwai, Dwayne Mann, Sidiru. Really, it wasn't a big position the Kiwis were strengths at. So it's probably where they lack fullback and dummy half are probably what make the Kiwis team struggle against the better teams. Obviously, there's Brandon Smith as well, but hasn't done enough for me. Then we got. This is what we're talking about. This is probably where the Kiwis' strength is. Mark Graham, Simon Mannering, and Hugh McGowan. Those three in the second row. And lock, I mean, you can put them, any of them can play lock, any of them can play second row. They were guns, and I mean guns, very much guns. You could argue they can take on the Johnny Rapers and the best Gordon Tallis and the likes. A very good, that's where New Zealand have been strong in that position. Very, very strong. Absolutely. If Sonny Bill can't make the squad, that is show you how good these fellas are. The bench. This was hard, but I remember Henry Port always being very, very good for the Kiwis, and when they needed him to play, he was very good. And I put him in front of Lance O'Hire there. Prop was a tough one. Could have gone for a whole lot here, but I went for Quinton Ponga. He was just hard-nosed as they come. And obviously, Brent Todd, John Lomax, Jared Warrior, Hargraves, Matalino, all unlucky not to be in this team. And then the final two, probably surprised that he's in here, but he is in there, had to be in here. Because of when he went to the West Tigers, like he went so bad that people forgot how good he was. But Adam Blair was a very standout for the Kiwis. He's probably one they overachieved for the Kiwis, to be honest. He was a gun. I remember he was a gun at the Storm, but I think people have forgotten about that. He was one of the other players that was key to them winning the premiership. He's forgotten about in the premiership race, but Adam Blair was very good for the Storm. Absolutely. And his teammate and partner in crime, Jesse Bromwich, fills up the rest of the Kiwi squad. So here we go. The Kiwi squad is Matthew Ridge at fullback, Sean Hoppy, Kevin Ira, Nigel Wagner, Manu Vatuvei, Benji Marshall, Stacey Jones, Ruben Wiki, Isaac Luke, Howie, Tamanti. I always look at this. Mark, Graham, Simon Mannering, and Hugh McGann. That is just outstanding. That back row, unbelievable. Henry Paul, Quinton Pongia, Jesse Bromwich, and Adam Blair. That is my 17 best Kiwi side ever. What do you think? Comment down below. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, because the Barry Charles Footy Show is not going anywhere and we want to keep rocking and rolling up the table. I hope you enjoyed this, and we've got plenty more videos like this coming out very soon. Take care out there.